Hello everyone. I have a problem with the scroll to um, method, if you will. And let me zoom in here a little bit. Oops. Okay. That's just fine. What I want to show you here, and first a little bit of history for me. I've been using Construct 3 for about 4 years, and I make games and I share them with family and friends and my children. We spend a lot of time together playing the games and things like that. So it's just a lot of fun. Um, this time around, so I redo my games over time, from scratch because I learn new skills and I apply them and code better, if you will, and such. So I made this game here. Now I've got a combat system, but what you're seeing here is my overland map, if you will. Very basic, ugly, whatever you want to call it. Just got some things here just to show you there are no objects other than the clouds, the mini map, and these two units right here, player, overland map, enemy. Okay. Even these castles, there's no collision detection, nothing like that yet in this game. I literally just worked on the game and then I decided let's do a new sheet for overland map, a new layout for the overland map that eventually will lead to my combat system. So I might be doing this in reverse, but it's just how I chose to do it. So these things do a move too. They go from where their current position is all the way down here to 1900, and then there's a check that sends them back here in a random y coordinate, and then they go to the right again. Just something basic. There's no creativity there, etc. Now, I want to show you what happens here because that's why I'm sharing this video and posting it in the forum. So here we go. I've got quite a few images. I've been goofing around with Midjourney a lot lately, but they're not in this overland map. So here's my character. I have a left click situation where you left click and it'll find a path because eventually I'll have solid objects in here. So I do the path finding. So there you go. Now watch what happens when I go down here. Great, there's nothing happening, right? Well, that's fine. That's fine because I got rid of the scroll to. Also, I want you to notice the mini map here. I have a little dot. It is not the same name as this sprite. It's got its own unique name. And I figured out how to do all that stuff. It's on the same, setup. See how nice that looks? I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but that's the new thing. That's something that I learned earlier this week for the first time that I've added to this game. Like I said, I do iterations of it. Anyhow, if I go here, and I add the scroll to, right? I'll add the scroll to make sure this thing is centered all the time. Here's what happens. There's nothing happening until I get down here to the bottom, but you see it's surpassing how fast that scroll to can work. Why is that? That's my first question. Why is that? Am I doing something wrong? Is the speed wrong? Etc. Okay, so I'll keep that. I'll get rid of that there. Actually, I could have unenabled it or disabled it, I suppose. Now we'll go to my overland map for my logic. Now a lot of this is set up for my mini map. So target location, current location, left click to get the player to move. It updates the global variable. Yes, I could do local variables and all that stuff. Path finding, it finds the path to the location, and then once it's found the path, it moves along the path. Every tick. So this is where it's really confusing because I have never had problems with scroll to before. My other games, like I have spaceship games that are top-down games, always does the scroll to immediately. No problems whatsoever. Ground-based overland combat games, no problem. Just for some reason this time around doing this map, this game, this iteration or whatever you want to call it, it's not working. But I have the same situation in my other games. Every tick, do the system scroll to. So again, that's not the player scroll to, but the system scroll to. So that should be active. That should be working. I don't want to take more time in this video, but I've got another game where it says scroll to player 1, and it works all the time. The player 1 is the object name. I don't want to load it up and show you and prove to you that it works. But it's the same thing. It's a system thing every tick, and it works. I don't know why it's not working here. So again, some of this stuff, these are the clouds and things like that, if they're on frame 8. I know this is sloppy and I can do a better job and optimize that stuff, but sometimes I just do the brute force method and get stuff going just to see if I can do it successfully. And this is the double click versus regular click. So I have a countdown timer for fast speed. So if you think about games like War Tales, you can go fast for only so long. Well, I have a countdown timer basically that feeds off of a maximum and decreases. So max speed, set speed to the max, or etc. So when that timer is down, so you lose your energy, you go back to slow speed. Not important here unless you think that's what's causing the problems, is the speed differentials. But that's what I have. I have a scroll 2 here. It's not working at all. So now let's go over to the overland map. I have 3 layers here. I have layer 1. If I hide that layer, you lose the map. If I hide layer 1, you lose the player and the enemy. If I hide mini-map, you lose mini-map. Okay? So I have parallax 0, 0 for the mini-map only. 1 is 100%, so the player's unit is on there, and the map itself is 100%. Transparent, transparent, transparent. Now I don't have, if I click off here, I don't have unbounded scrolling, but if we click on that, I still don't notice anything different other than black marks over here. See, it's still doing the same thing. It's not moving, not doing anything whatsoever. I don't know what to do. If I do this, but if I go back to here again, just to remind you, so I have pathfinding and bound to layout. If I do the scroll 2, here's what happens again. And I'll leave on unbound scrolling. Like, it's working, it's moving, because of that tick, I assume, or not the tick, because that's the systems one. But you can see it's surpassing. I'm gonna have, is it because my speed is too fast for my unit? Well, that seems ridiculous because I want it to go that fast. I don't want it to go 1 pixel per tick, or something like that. So I've been looking back at my old games, and literally, I don't even have, in my old games, I don't have this for my unit that moves. I'm only using this here. The system version of it. I don't have a behavior for that sprite. So I am totally lost right now. I've been spending a couple hours on this, and believe me, I'm not one to quickly run and ask for help. I tried to investigate. I tried to do different things. I moved things. I changed the parallax. Do different things. I moved the player to a different layer. I actually went and said, okay, now scroll to the cloud. Scroll to cloud with a UID of 556. Didn't do it either. It went to the edge because it worked over here, but there's something going on here. It's not instantly working, and only when I have scroll 2 for the individual unit or the sprite is it working, but it's only working so long as around a border. It's not working immediately. So any advice you have, I'm always willing to learn. So if you have the direct answer, awesome. But if there's a place I can go to, I've looked in the forums. I saw that somebody had a similar issue with their parallax, but unless I'm missing something here, I got 100%, 100%. The only thing that is 0 is the mini-map, which makes sense to me. You want that to be kind of like your graphic user interface that doesn't move around. So again, total loss. Thanks for watching. This video is probably way too long.